At the age of 19, I made over $300,000 in just one day by launching a real branded e-commerce store. And in this video, I'm going to break down exactly how I did it, from writing it down on my whiteboard to making it a reality. The lessons you're gonna learn in this video are from my real results. So let's get right into it. First things first, to understand how I was able to do it, we need to go back to 2022. Because before I ever came close to hitting a $300,000 day, my record was only $36,000. Still pretty solid, and most people would be happy with that. But it was nowhere near what I knew I was capable of. Around mid-2022, I was still living in my parents' house in the Netherlands. But the thing was, all the people around me and the people I was looking up to online were making millions. And I was literally the only one who wasn't. But the thing is, I felt like a millionaire in my mind. But my bank account just didn't reflect that. At the same time I was hanging out with all the millionaires, I'm like, bro, these guys are not smarter than I am. So what the fuck am I doing wrong? And all of that just gave me a reality check, because I wanted to become a millionaire so bad. My goal was always to become a millionaire at 18. During that time when I was hanging out with all these people and I got the reality check for myself, I actually met someone who I really respect still to this day. His name is Luc Belmar, and he actually told me to read this random book called The Magic of Thinking Big. I still remember it to this day. And the first thing I did is that I read that book from cover to cover. That book just flipped a switch in me instantly. In the book they say, if you're gonna be thinking anyways, might as well think big. And that's exactly what I did. So I actually followed everything the book said, and right away I bought a whiteboard. That's the first thing I did. And once the whiteboard came in, I just started to write down all my goals on it. At one moment after all that thinking, I was just like, fuck it, I'm just gonna write down $1 million a month. That was my goal. And I'm not gonna lie, it felt crazy. But like I said, if you're gonna be thinking anyways, might as well think big. I did the math and I realized that I need to sell like 30,000 units to make it happen. Doing the math, I was like, bro, there's no way I'm gonna sell 30,000 units. After reading that book, I was like, bro, fuck it, put it on there anyways. And I know it was a massive goal, but I kept it on my wall and I stared at it every single day. Because now I'm forcing myself to think of ways how to hit that $1 million a month. Before I was like, okay, anything below that is fine. And now you're forcing yourself to think big. So if you don't have one already, I encourage you very, very highly to buy yourself a whiteboard and put your goals on there. Not just any goals, but big goals. And I recommend you guys to put it somewhere where you get confronted by it every single day. You'll start to understand why this is actually so important as you watch this video. Because honestly, this is one of the most important pieces of advice I'm going to share with you. So second part how I did so well is the scaling part. So I still had the goal of like $1 million in my mind. But at that point, I was only doing like 300K a month. So I knew I had to go 4x of what I'm currently doing. And at that time, the strategies I was using just weren't going to get me there. I knew for sure. So the first thing I looked at to fix was my market reach. I was only selling in 4 countries: the Netherlands, Belgium, Germany, and Sweden. That's it. I wasn't selling in the UK, not selling in the US, in not any of the big 5 countries. And I realized that if I wanted to go big, I had to go global. But there was a big problem: my supply chain. I was still shipping everything locally from the Netherlands, which was very slow and expensive. So I made a very big move and I used what I call the hybrid GigaChat method, centralizing my entire supply chain to China, which allowed me to scale very fast. And I was now able to fulfill everything internationally from just one place. And I was able to prep that system before Q4 hit, which was huge for me. So I actually have a separate video on how you should be structuring your supply chain on this channel as well. And in that separate video, I'm actually breaking down the entire supply chain and how you can structure your supply chain to actually reach the scale. So here's actually what you should be taking away from this. If you want to do big numbers, you need to start branching out to different countries, just like I did. The bigger your target market is, the more revenue you can do. And second of all, you need to structure your supply chain in a way that lets you actually scale that fast. Because if I never structured my supply chain before Q4, I could have never scaled from $10,000 a day to $300,000 a day. It would have taken way too long and it would be way too expensive to ship bulk to every country locally. Obviously, you can follow the game method, which I also described in another video, but you'll realize very soon that you're never gonna hit the $300,000 a day. But that's up to you. And that's the thing. Scaling to $300,000 a day isn't just about hustle. It's about having the right systems and the right blueprint. Because doing it alone without any guidance, you're gambling with time, money, and momentum. And that's exactly why I offer one-on-one coaching. Because I want to help you build a real brand, avoid these expensive mistakes that I made, and fast track your results with a proven system that me and my students use. So if you want to apply for the one-on-one mentorship and join hundreds of others who are already seeing crazy results, click the link in the description to apply. Whether you have no experience at all or you're trying to scale past 6 figures, this is your next step to building something real. So the next step I took was figuring out how to instantly boost conversions, and that was through localizing my stores. So what I did is I actually built separate stores for each country using its native language, native currency, and native payment methods. Because see it like this: if you're like scrolling on Instagram, you suddenly see a random ad of a product, you're like, okay, I really like this, and you go to the store and you're from Europe and you're suddenly seeing like Zimbabwe dollars, you're like, what the fuck is this? And you're not gonna buy from it, right? Same principle applies to all of your customers. They're also like, what the fuck is this? Of course they're not gonna buy, because they wanna see their local currency, local language. because otherwise they won't trust that shit. And that's why it's so important to localize everything. And believe me, localization isn't optional, because if you're trying to scale in 2025, it's absolutely essential. So what I did next is something very, very important that almost nobody talks about. So for that, I'm gonna be sharing my screen. I'm gonna be grabbing my laptop and I'm gonna be sharing my screen in here. So to understand this concept, I have my Bride website in front of me. Okay, because one thing you guys will notice if you're on the Bride website, you guys probably all scrolled on the Bride website, try to copy me. One thing which you guys will notice, okay, is that I always have a sale running. So one thing which you guys have to realize that before Q4 2022 started, I was shipping next day delivery. If you ordered before 12 a.m. on my website, you are going to get it delivered the next fucking day. And then one day I was like looking at my analytics, I was like, bro, what the fuck? I only have like a 5% recurring revenue rate. So that means that from 100 customers I have, only 5 customers are coming back. So I was like, bro, why the fuck am I giving next day delivery and nobody's gonna come back anyways? I realized that with my products, like customers only need it a one time. Like they're not gonna need it a second or third time. Okay, so I was like, I should do everything in my power, especially during Q4, to make you buy the first time you see this. Because before this crazy Q4, what I was doing is that I was only running a Black Friday sale on Black Friday itself. And it's actually one of the most stupid things I could do, because if I only run a sale on Black Friday, which was what I did, the rest of the month, your conversion rate doesn't go up and everyone's gonna be waiting for that particular day on Black Friday. So you will only have one good day. Your offer flops, your offer didn't work out as you expected. Suddenly you have a whole bad Q4. Okay, you start your Black Friday sale in the beginning of November or the beginning of October. You have time to test your offers, you have time to tweak your offers, to prepare the assets, test different offers, and you have time to scale, which is very fucking important because it's very hard to go from $10,000 per day to $300,000 per day within one day. Okay, it's almost impossible because you need time to scale your ads, you need time to optimize your ads. It's very much possible to go from $10,000 per day to $300,000 per day within a few weeks. That's very realistic. So for you guys to actually understand this concept, I'm gonna be sharing everything. As you guys can see in here, I have the analytics dashboard for Bride UK. So as I said before, I obviously localize all the stores. That's why I have over 15 stores. But as you guys can see in here, unfortunately, I started the UK store pretty late because it took some time for me to localize everything and I realized what I'm teaching you guys in here too late, but I still managed to do it in time just before the craziness in Q4. So the first day I actually started the UK store was around 19th of October 2022. As you guys can see in here, first day, the revenue, I immediately did £369. Only here I started to realize, oh, you know what? Why don't I start my sale day early and I start in the end of October, and from there, bang. I went literally from £300 a day, I went to do like 6.6 thousand pounds a day in just 1.5 weeks. So I'm gonna pull this graph further here, from the day I started the store all the way to like, let's say 10th of December. You guys see this, look at this graph. So we did here, we had 6.6 thousand pounds. Bro, look at this skill. Because I started the sale fucking early. You guys see this? I realized, you know what? I have to start my Black Friday sale early in the beginning of November. I realized that late, what I'm teaching you guys in here, and bang, look at this skill. Every day, double budgets, double budgets, double budgets. ROAS was like 5, 6. Here, one bad day, I think my ad account went out. Bro, look at this. At some point, I did 117,000 pounds on just one single day. I believe it was before Black Friday, 15th of November. That's not even Black Friday. So that is like, how much is this? $170,000 or something on just one single day on one store. It was just the UK store because I started the sale early. And as you guys can see, conversion rate, can I see the conversion rate go up? 10% add to cart rate, 4% conversion rate in here. But if I check the days before I started the sale, I have a 2.8% conversion rate. And because in here, I started to realize, oh, I have to start the Black Friday sale early. I started around 5th of November till end of the month. As you guys see, the conversion rate went from 2.5 to 3.91. Big difference, massive difference. And such a bump in conversion rate makes everything go up. Because suddenly your ads are starting to do better, and it doesn't matter how much traffic you're pushing to your site right now. If everything converts better, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy where it just goes up and up and up and up only. You guys get the concept, and you guys see this graph. This graph obviously speaks for itself. So one thing which I did prepare in here for all of you guys is a Q4 marketing calendar. I can talk hours about this. I'm gonna blur it in here mostly because otherwise you motherfuckers are gonna copy it. But this is something which me and all of my students use to prepare for Q4. So a special tip for this video. I'm a very generous man. I'm gonna be sharing this Q4 marketing calendar with you guys for free, but I want you guys to do some effort. So all I want you guys to do is leave a like on this video. Just put a comment in there. Send me a DM on Instagram with proof that you actually left a comment in this video, and I'll send you the Q4 marketing calendar for completely free. But don't get me wrong. I didn't just focus on promotions. I massively expanded my product line leading up to Q4. Obviously, I was only selling in Europe before. And in Europe, my soccer ball did great. But I knew it wouldn't crush as much in the USA because I knew soccer is not as big of a sport in the United States, obviously. So I added shit like American footballs and golf balls to get more sales in that local country. And that one decision actually absolutely crushed it for me because the American football alone made up over 50% of my Q4 sales. That one decision literally doubled my sales, okay? And if I didn't decide to do that, obviously I would have probably half the sales which I did now. And that's why when you see things working, you should immediately expand your product line as soon as you can. The more products you have, higher your chances of hitting consistent six-figure days. So another major factor in scaling to $300,000 per day was focusing on the area where most people fall short. And that's of course paid advertising. Because during Q4, everyone is trying to win, but we went all out. So obviously the easiest way for me to discuss this is by diving into my actual ad manager. So as you guys can see, I'm in my ad manager right now. Obviously a lot of the campaigns we were running during Q4, which is a couple of years ago, we're not running at the moment anymore. As you guys can see, in November alone, we spent over 906,000 euros, which equals to like $1 million or something, which we only spent in November alone, right? In December, we spent a whole lot more. And obviously the years in 2023 and 2024, I also spent even more amounts. But there was the first Q4, so just so you guys know why I'm showing such old results, because 2022 Q4 is the very first Q4 where I broke through. So I want you guys to understand where I start to realize these lessons which I'm sharing with you guys in here. Diving into the ad structure, one thing which we did, which is very important for you guys, is that every single day we ran new batches of new creatives. Every single day, doesn't matter what day it was, we tested new batches. So we either launched a new batch of variations of ads which are already winning, or we launched completely new angles. One thing we did, which got a lot of fucking spend for us, if you guys check the campaigns in here, look, most spent were literally ads which were purely localized for Halloween or for Black Friday or for Christmas. So I literally ran custom ads based on the sale event. And this is what a lot of people are not doing. One thing which we even did, because the World Cup was also going on at the same time, we even made creatives purely for the World Cup. So I'm gonna be showing you guys this video. We even ran ads purely for the World Cup. Look. My point in it is, I was running native ads to the sale event I was running. Either running World Cup ads, Halloween ads, Black Friday, Christmas, didn't matter. I ran native ads for that sale event. So here's the lesson for you guys. Your ads should feel timely. They should feel native. They should feel relevant. And I was selling a soccer ball around the biggest sporting event in the world. It would be stupid for me not to promote it and just go all in. And that brings me perfectly to my next point. I had big balls to go all in, because this is my final point, but also one of the most important parts. Because if I break down how I was actually able to scale all of this to $300,000 per day, I had to be all in. I wanted it so fucking bad that I was willing to give it all. And I genuinely didn't give a fuck, to be honest. Like, I was 19, I was still living with my parents, and I just went all out. I maxed out my credit cards, I drained every single account I had, and I threw every single penny I earned back into the business without any hesitation. And it's the same case for everyone else who's watching this. If you want to be doing more revenue than you're doing right now, you have to obviously invest more money into stock. That means that all your profits, you have to reinvest it in there. But if you don't have big fucking balls like I do, you won't be daring to reinvest your profits, and you won't be doing big numbers. That's why it's so important to have fucking big balls and go all out. Because I didn't have any investors who were backing me. But the reality was very simple. Every single profit had to go straight back into stock and into the business. And obviously the goal was to cash out later. Either once I hit stable, consistent numbers, or when I decided to exit. That moment I knew the results are good, I should go fucking all in. I don't give a fuck. Of course, like, there were some risks which I didn't see like only later, but for example, one Shopify ban could have wiped me out, or one Facebook block could have just fucked me up completely and that would make me go bankrupt. But I had the balls to double down on my brand and keep pushing on it. That's the point. And even though I was young and didn't fully realize it at the time, that fuck it mindset was the one thing that carried me through always. It's what let me go all in when others would have bitched out. And that mindset is what made all the difference, okay? Remember that. And now you've seen exactly how I made $300,000 per day at 19. And now you know that it didn't happen overnight. Because summarizing it again, it was big thinking. We had global system to scale. We had smart strategy with our ads. sweat, and we had ruthless execution. I was able to write down a goal on my whiteboard and make it my reality, because it's really that simple. There is no room to go half in, you need to go all in to do these numbers. So if you want me to personally help you apply the exact system that I use to scale my own e-commerce stores, click the link in the description to apply for my one-on-one mentorship. I don't believe in courses, I only believe in one-on-one help. Because if I'm actually there in the trenches with you on a call, and I know your whole situation because every scenario is different, I can guarantee you 100% I'll be able to bring you to the next level. So for the real winners who want to apply for the mentorship, DM me the word winner on Instagram and we'll see if you qualify. Thank you guys for watching. See you guys in the next video. Ciao.